The sportsbooks have officially lost it. They saw what Jonte Porter did and said, hey, to heck with all of our basketball-oriented odds. Let's just throw out some random numbers. Let's see who we can get betting on whatever. Because apparently, according to the latest sportsbook, according to Vegas, the Toronto Raptors are among the favorites to land Trae Young this offseason, which is just absolute madness to me because, frankly, there's no world the Raptors should even be in consideration to land Trae Young. But we'll break down the odds, break down if there's any little bit of sense around the Toronto Raptors landing the star point guard from the Atlanta Hawks, and take a look at the other teams in potential contention because really I just don't see a world where this makes any sense whatsoever. But folks, if you guys want to stay up to date with everything regarding this Toronto Raptors team, we're not slowing down even with the season sort of in the rear view mirror at this point. The off season's about to be madness, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Over 51% of you guys are not just yet, so it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into what this video is all about. And again, we are going to see some nonsense takes. We're going to see some, bad predictions, even from myself. Certainly, I'm not above a bad take, a bad prediction, or anything like that. But some people that should be are people that make money off their predictions, and at least their predictions being right. And sportsbooks out here have a weird one in terms of their list. Basically, the odds have been revealed according to a Bovada official about Trae Young's next destination. Obviously, if he's traded away from the Atlanta Hawks, and the Lakers, Bulls, Mavericks, are among the favorites there, and San Antonio Spurs at plus 700 is kind of low to me. I feel like the Spurs should probably be favored at this point, but the Toronto Raptors are amongst the top 7-8 odds in terms of landing Trae Young. Right around the Miami Heat and Detroit Pistons are tied with those three teams, and frankly, I find that a little bit bananas. The fact that we're tied with the Heat that are probably in a position to be big star hunting. They made some trades for point guard and Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, during this year's trade deadline, but obviously want that spot to be elevated. The fact that the Toronto Raptors here are even on this list, are given a shot, a remnants of a chance to land Trae Young, just makes absolutely zero sense to me. Because Trae Young is a guy that, one, doesn't really fit the vision of the Toronto Raptors. We want guys that can play on both ends of the floor, defend basically everything. The Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, Bobby Webster had his press conference a little bit earlier, not immediately as season ends, but definitely Masai Ujiri was saying about the top guys on the Toronto Raptors is, hey, we want to see Scotty develop on the defensive end. We want to see RJ take that next step up. RJ was comparing himself to how he wants to get to a level that OG Anunoby was at with this Toronto Raptors team. The Raptors want their top-level guys playing a ton of minutes, to be able to play on both ends of the floor. While Trae Young definitely has improved in that area, he's definitely not going to be a top-tier defender by any stretch of the imagination anytime soon. So, basically, that's the first reason I don't see why the Raptors go after Trae Young. Second reason, we just got Emmanuel quickly. We just brought him in. We traded away OG Anunoby for IQ to be the centerpiece back in that deal. Every interview, every sort of chance he had talking in this post-game pressers, postseason pressers, whatever it is, IQ has talked about how much he loves Toronto, how much the city has embraced him. Talked about love, and not just that is a word that gets tossed around here like it's willy-nilly. He believes there's love from the fan base and back, from IQ to the fans already in his short time with the Toronto Raptors. Again, he fits the Scotty Barnes timeline. I don't know why we would bring in a point guard when we're probably about to make a significant financial commitment to IQ as the point guard of the future for this team. That's two reasons, but the third reason, probably the most important one, is he just doesn't really fit what we're doing right now. We are currently in a rebuild, and Masai Ujiri consistently said, patience. This team needs patience. We want to see players grow, develop, come into their own. We don't want to make a big crazy move for no reason to rush along a rebuild to just become a mid-level team in the Eastern Conference and not really mature our young guys into a place where we could be competing, at the top, upper echelon of the Eastern Conference and making a trade because we'd have to give away serious assets in order to acquire Trae Young. Right? That's just the reality of it. However you view him as a basketball player, he's going to command a lot out there on the open market. And frankly, the Toronto Raptors, it doesn't make sense to give up all those types of assets. These assets that haven't matured just yet to bring in a Trae Young around a team that is incomplete, is not whole. We saw it when we had a couple injuries this year. We went on a 15-game losing streak. The Raptors are not built to be a contender by any stretch, even if we get Trae Young into the roster, because frankly, he is going to command a lot. Trae Young this season averaged 26 points points per game, 3 rebounds, 11 assists per night, shot 37% from the 3-point line, and is a guy just 25 years old, has already made a conference finals. For as much as he gets bagged on how bad the Atlanta Hawks are, yada yada yada, Trae Young is a really good basketball player. I mean, he's had some ridiculous seasons, over the course of his career. Numbers a little bit down this season, but dealt with some injuries and also had DeJounte Murray fulfill a little bit bigger of a role this season. He plays a similar position again. That team is weirdly constructed here now at this point, but an elite shooter. Trae Young is an elite shooter. I mean, corner threes, the dude was shooting 55% corner threes just a couple seasons ago, which is bananas. 48% from corner threes this season. Doesn't take a lot. A lot of his threes are kind of off the dribble and stuff, which means he's a creator. He can create a lot of shots for himself. Obviously, he's a facilitator as well, but you can see it. Only 33% of his three-point shots are assisted upon, and the fact that he's making, if he's hitting a 37% clip when only 33% of his threes are assisted upon, generally we see decent three-point shooters have above 67% of their three-point shots assisted upon, which makes it easier, right? If you're kind of catching the ball, quick catch and shoot is a lot easier than trying to break someone down off the dribble. Trying to catch, whether you're off balance with a hand in your face or whatever, those catch and shoot threes are a lot easier to make than those off the dribble stuff that Trae Young does be taking. And that isn't that's not to bash on people that get set shots, but there's more value in someone that can create their own look and make them at a high level than those spot up catch and shoot shooters. That's kind of the value there. But frankly, bringing in Trae Young, even though he'd be nice as a shooter, even though it would be cool, and the Raptors have in the past always gotten involved with potential big name free agents, or at least not necessarily free agents, but disgruntled stars that are on the trading block. Masai Ujiri loves to throw his name in the hat for all of those types of players. We almost traded for Damian Lillard last offseason, so maybe that's one reason that fans, or at least people, the sportsbook community, I don't know who the heck specifically is behind the scenes making those odds, but they look at the Raptors almost trading for Dame last season and say, hey, Trae Young, interesting, sort of similar value that he'd provide. Maybe the Raptors could get involved here. This team was completely different last season. Had OG, had Pascal Siakam, obviously had Scotty Barnes and those types of guys. But frankly, Trae Young, just even though he's still young, even though he'd be a cool fit, the assets, the amount of draft picks, the amount of young good players we'd have to trade away in order to bring Trae Young into this group, to take a team that, again, we saw at the end of the season, isn't close to really being a top level contender in the Eastern Conference, it doesn't really make a whole ton of sense to me. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Like, the fact that we're kind of tied with the Miami Heat, a team I could really see making one of these moves. We're only, plus 500 behind the San Antonio Spurs at this point, and the Dallas Mavericks, not the Mavericks. I don't think the Mavericks makes much sense at all, really. But the Spurs especially, squad that's been linked to Trae Young and all that stuff in the past, I just don't really get where the Toronto Raptors are at in terms of a potential Trae Young destination. But again, would it be cool to see, a star player doing cool emotes on the court? Yeah, but not at this time. We have Scotty Barnes. He's our star of the future. We have RJ Barrett, star of the future. IQ, star of the future. That's all we really need. But folks, let me know what you guys think about all this Trae Young news. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.